viewers of Emmerdale are convinced they have figured out which unexpected resident could bring down Dr. Todd. The sinister medic, currently causing chaos in the ITV drama, has been at the centre of growing tension in the village. For several months, Todd has targeted trainee Dr. Jacob Sugden, intimidating him until he finally decided to report her behaviour to HR. More recently, she uncovered a huge secret involving Charity Dingle after discovering that baby Leyla is not Jacob's biological daughter. Instead, the child is the result of Charity's relationship with Ross Barton. Using the information to her advantage, Todd demanded a £10,000 payoff to keep quiet. After finding out Charity owns part of the Woolpack, she increased the amount to an eye-watering £100,000. Desperate to protect her family, Charity started searching for someone willing to purchase her share of the pub. Her first attempt involved approaching Ruby Miligan, but the plan failed to go anywhere. Left with few alternatives, she later turned to Kim Tate, who eventually agreed to hand over £130,000 in cash. However, Kim warned that the legal side of the deal would take some time to complete. In Friday's episode, now available on ITVX, Charity met Todd at Tuggill to explain the delay. She assured the doctor that the money was coming, although it would not arrive within the original deadline. Todd later accepted the arrangement, but Charity made it clear she had strict conditions attached. She warned Todd to stay away from her loved ones and stop manipulating Mac, Ross, and Vanessa. Charity also insisted that once the money was transferred, Todd should leave the village for good and never return. Unfazed by the threat, Todd responded with sarcasm, teasing Charity and appearing amused rather than intimidated by the confrontation. The dramatic exchange follows another tense encounter between the pair in the toilets at the Woolpack earlier in the week. While the scene initially appeared private, some fans are now convinced another villager may have secretly overheard everything. A growing number of viewers suspect Ruby was hiding in one of the cubicles during the argument, potentially making her the key person who could finally uncover Todd's blackmail scheme and expose her actions to the rest of the village. Joe Tate surprised everyone in the latest episode of Emmerdale by doing something completely out of character, attempting to make peace instead of causing trouble. The businessman appeared determined to change his ways after it recently emerged that he and Graham Foster had known about Dawn Taylor's revenge plot for quite some time. Dawn had planned to strip Joe of his fortune after discovering he was responsible for turning the lives of Victoria Sugden and Moira Dingle upside down earlier this year. Despite his reputation for manipulation, Joe shocked Graham by reacting in an unusually sincere way. Rather than plotting revenge of his own, he focused on proving that he could become a better person and prioritize his family. His biggest fear was losing Dawn, and he avoided doing anything that might push her away. Eventually, Dawn chose to stay after seeing several emotional and genuine sides to Joe. However, she warned him that their relationship would only survive if he stayed truthful from now on. One more lie, and it would all be over. Wanting to prove he meant every word, Joe later turned his attention to Moira in an attempt to repair their fractured relationship. While working in a field, Moira discovered that a herd of cows had mysteriously wandered from Emmerdale Farm onto the new Dingle land. Joe soon arrived and suggested they should finally put their long-running feud behind them. Unfortunately for Joe, his history of deception made it impossible for Moira to trust his sudden change in attitude. She immediately suspected there was another hidden motive behind his friendly behaviour. Trying to convince her he was serious, Joe told Moira she could keep both the cattle and the money Dawn had previously handed over. Even with this generous gesture, Moira remained deeply skeptical. She refused to shake his hand or believe his promises about becoming a better man for Dawn's sake. Although Joe insisted he was trying to change, Moira made it clear she would only believe it when she saw lasting proof. For now, she can only hope that his latest transformation is genuine and not simply another carefully crafted act. Emmerdale is set to reveal a heartbreaking twist next week as Cami Hadik's difficult circumstances are finally exposed. Upcoming scenes will show that the popular mechanic has secretly been homeless and staying overnight at Emmerdale Farm. The emotional storyline, focusing on hidden homelessness, begins when Belle Dingle starts asking questions about Cammie's family, hoping to learn more about the man she has been growing close to. However, his unwillingness to discuss his relatives leaves Belle upset and unsure why he keeps avoiding the subject. Things become even more awkward when Belle suggests meeting his family, only for Cammie to immediately reject the idea again. Later, viewers will finally understand the reason behind his guarded behavior as he admits that he has been sleeping rough. The actor behind Cammie hinted that the revelation will create major challenges for the couple and warned that their relationship is far from straightforward. He explained that Cammie eventually reaches a point where he feels trapped and unable to continue hiding the truth. Realizing he has no other option, he decides to confess everything, despite the emotional weight attached to his past experiences. According to The Star, Cammie's feelings for Belle are sincere, which is why he ultimately chooses to open up completely. Their bond is described as deeply genuine, giving him the confidence to share painful details he has kept buried for a long time. Although the confession is expected to cause tension, there may still be hope ahead for the pair. The actor suggested that the storyline will lead to a fairly positive outcome, adding that Belle and Cammie unexpectedly complement one another and have formed a connection that appears to be working well so far. Moira Dingle suffered an emotional meltdown in the latest episode of Emmerdale as the pressure of hiding a huge secret from Kane Dingle became too much to handle. Fans already know that Kane is preparing to undergo surgery next week after recently being diagnosed with prostate cancer. Despite the difficult situation, the couple have been trying to stay strong and support one another. However, Moira has been carrying a heavy burden in secret. She has chosen not to reveal that Robert Sugden played a part in Joe Tate's scheme to have her sent to prison by planting the fake ID cards. As the stress continued to build, Moira unexpectedly lost her temper with her son Isaac. Seeing him watching television while supposedly unwell, she questioned whether he had pretended to be sick just to avoid school. The confrontation quickly escalated, with Moira insisting he return to school and apologize to his teacher. When Isaac worried about getting into trouble, Moira snapped harshly, accusing him of being selfish and saying she was tired of everyone treating her like a fool. Not long afterwards, guilt began to set in, and Moira admitted she had overreacted. She later apologized to Isaac, explaining that anxiety surrounding Kane's upcoming operation had affected her more deeply than she realized. Even so, the strain of keeping Robert's betrayal hidden continued to weigh heavily on her throughout the day. Later that evening, Kane opened up about his fears over how the operation might impact their relationship and future together. Moira reassured him that no matter what happened, they would face the challenges side by side. Upcoming scenes are set to bring even more drama when Kane finally discovers the truth about Robert's involvement. The revelation leaves him furious, despite still recovering from surgery. The fallout will reportedly see Kane confronting Robert in explosive fashion, with events escalating dangerously as he takes the frightened farmer hostage while armed with a hammer. Emmerdale is broadcast on weeknights at 8 p.m. on ITV1, while episodes are also available to stream from 7 a.m. on ITVX and YouTube.